Look up at the sky, ask it why are you all so afraid?
What is up, everyone? My name is Andrea. If you don't know me, you should subscribe because, like, why not? You should also hit the notification bell down below to be notified every time I upload a new video, as soon as I upload a new video. But anyway, today I'm very excited because I'm going to be giving you guys some advice on how to read more books. I know that there's a lot of readers out there who want to hit a larger Goodreads goal, or they want to just read more books a year, or they want to read faster, a lot of things like that. So I have compiled 5 tips of my own tricks, my own tips on how to read more books. Not necessarily how to read faster, but more just how to read more books at your own pace. But hopefully one of these will be applicable to your life and you can start implementing it and using it. I sound like I'm trying to teach something very important, but it's just little things that I have noticed that have helped me read more books per month. Because mostly for me as a booktuber, I do this for fun. Started out doing it for fun, but now I've realized that I need to read more books to make more content to put out for you guys. And so it's become a thing that I had to adapt and learn how to read more than I was used to before I started really getting serious with YouTube. And so now I have just basically done this over time and it just came naturally. So hopefully these are just easy tips that you can do for yourself. I do want to mention I am not a professional. I do not have any research to back up any of these ideas. I am not the fastest reader out there. I'm definitely probably do read more than the average person. The average people in my life do not read at all. So, you know, compared to them, I do pretty well and I read a lot. But right now I've read 55 books. My Goodreads goal for the year is 100. I'm on track. I think I'm even ahead of schedule. So I'd say, you know, I have some credentials, but yeah, so I'm not the fastest reader, like I said, but these tips just help me read more books per month. And so let's just go ahead and get into these tips. So number 1, the first thing I would say that you could do if you want to read more books per month, or you want to read more in general, whatever, is to do rereads. Now, all of this, like I've said, is from personal experience, but I have found that whenever you do a reread, so whenever you read a book that you've already previously read, whether it was a long time ago or not, I feel like you can read it faster. So whenever you do a reread, I would not say to skim, but just know that you don't have to focus on all the little details, if you get what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to expressively put all your attention on every sentence. You can read a little bit faster because you know pretty much all of the big things that happen. So you're not really reading in a way that you have to focus and you have to pay attention to every little thing. You can go a little bit faster. And so for me, I know I read my rereads faster, so I add them in a little bit every month. Like, I'll do a couple of them and just mix them in with my regular TBR. And it also helps because a lot of people want to do rereads, but they're like, I can't because my TBR is so huge, and like it feels like you're a traitor to your TBR. And I get that because that's how I feel too. But then it overall makes me feel better at the end of the month to have read like 8 books or 9 books or whatever than if I would have only read less than that and not got a reread in, if that makes sense. So doing a reread is just a way that I found that you can add a number pretty easily to your overall monthly goals or whatever your yearly goal, because you don't have to focus as much and you can read it faster. Okay, so my second tip kind of goes along with this, but it would be to mix in smaller books to your TBR. If you're somebody like me, I love fantasy, and that is primarily what I read. Like, all my books are mostly fantasy. So when it comes to reading those, the page count is way longer, and that's something that's kind of like not touched upon a lot on BookTube. The fact that yes, somebody could read more books than you, but if you are a fantasy reader like myself, you have definitely read way more pages than somebody else. And it's not a competition, but you can't deny that there is a feeling you get when you have read a lot of books, and everyone wants to feel like that. So for fantasy readers, it's actually not fair, I would say, because you're reading more pages, blah blah blah. You're reading like 2 books in one if you're reading like an 800-page science fiction novel. So I would say if you are a fantasy reader or you do read larger books, to add in smaller ones throughout your TBR every month. Something I like to do, since I have some contemporaries on my shelf that are most of the time gonna be shorter than fantasies or something, I mix them in. So I'll read 1 or 2 of them a month and I know I can finish them faster. So it's just basically what you know you can finish faster. If you know there's some smaller books or like graphic novels, stuff like that, or mangas, you can add those in there. And you're obviously going to get a higher book count for that month because you are adding in more, getting more done. And honestly, it's a win-win for everyone because you are getting more books in, you're getting more books off your TBR, even though they're shorter. And speaking from my own experience, I have a lot of contemporaries that are shorter books that I don't always lean towards. Like, I don't really want to pick them up, but I tell myself, hey, if you read this, you're going to finish it fast and you can add it to your Goodreads and it's going to be great. So just do it. I just have to make myself. And then, you know, you're getting more books in and I actually like the books. So that is something that I have implemented this year. I know a lot, like every month I try to do that and it's helped me so much to read more books. This next one, number 3, might be a little bit obvious and you're going to say, Andrew, duh, if you're a reader. Everyone does this, but I'm gonna mention it anyway because some people don't do this. So my number 3 would be to carry a book everywhere. Always have a book on you, in your car, in your backpack, in your purse. Carry it in your hands if you have to. Just always have a book with you because you never know when you're gonna have a moment to read. You never know. I really started doing this last year when I got back into reading like heavily. Even if I was just going to the store with my mom for like a quick errand, I would take my book and something would happen where my mom would be like, oh, I'll just get down and you can stay in the car. And then you have that 5 minutes, 10 minutes to read while your mom is in the store. Or you have to go to the bank and you take your book with you and you're sitting in the long line at the bank and you're like, wow, I wish I had a book. And then, oh, you do have a book. And then you get 5 or 10 minutes there. So it's just finding these little increments of time where you can read a page or two. Like, it's not going to be a lot, but it's still getting that reading done and keeping your progress going that I think really helps. If you're still in high school, I would say definitely to always have a book in your backpack. I know we didn't always have that much time to read in class, but sometimes we did, and there were just days that you don't know what's gonna happen. Sometimes we would have like a fire drill and end up sitting out in the hallway or sitting outside for a long time, and if you have your book with you, you could read it. Like, I'll be honest, one time we had a fire drill and they're like, leave all your stuff, do not take anything, and I'm like, no, I am bringing my copy of Twilight. You think I'm gonna leave it to burn? No. So yeah, I would do that. I mean, you don't have to be that extreme. If it's actually like a fire or something, do not grab your books. But if it's something where you can control it and you know you can take your book or something, like at school you can do that. If you're in college, whenever I would go to college, for some reason I was always early to class. I'm still in college, but we're just doing online now. But whenever I did go on campus, I would always be early. So if I was early, I could just read my book. And then I would just be reading in college, like one of those girls, and just look around like, yes, I'm the only one reading in here. I'm an intellectual, of course. But no, that was just kind of, I mean, it could be awkward if you're somebody who doesn't like to draw attention to yourself, but I guess it kind of doesn't draw attention because no one in the world probably cares that you're reading a book wherever you are, just saying, because I always was hoping that maybe somebody like sitting next to me would be reading, or they would ask me what I was reading, or they would be like, you read Court of Thorns and Roses too? And I'd be like, yes, and we would just strike up a conversation, but that literally has never happened to me, not once, so it probably won't happen. But hey, the chance is still there, and just the point is, take your book everywhere. Even if you're like, no, I'm gonna have no time to read, I know I'm gonna have no time to read, take your book because you might, you never know. So this leads me into my number 4 tip, which is kind of an accumulation of everything I've been saying, but kind of not. So this one I would say is manage your time better. Just time management in general. And this is something that I struggle with to do anything. Like, I am a procrastinator. It's really bad. But with books, I do not procrastinate at all, ever. And that is something that you, me, we all have to choose to do. And so if you really want to read books, you have to choose to set that time to read them. A lot of people in real life around me who don't read, that know that I read, because a lot of people know because I always have a book, you know, they asked me like, how do you even have time to read? Like, I literally never have time, wouldn't have time. And I'm like, yes, you would. If you wanted to read a book, you would make the time, as you would with everything in your life that you prioritize and that you actually enjoy doing, that you love, you make time for it. And so that's what you have to do with books too, just manage your time. And so a couple ways that I found that you could do that with books to get some reading in. So read on your lunch. So if you're in high school, it'd be pretty easy to read on your lunch. Just, you know, don't ignore your friends, but like if you aren't doing anything and you want to read on your lunch, you can. If you go to work, if you have a job, then you can still read on your lunch while you're at work. I do this every single day. Now, I work at a bookstore, so maybe it's not the same for other people, But I'm sitting back there eating. I only get 30 minutes, so I finish my food in like the first 15 minutes, and then I read the last 15 minutes. And I don't get on my phone because, you know, getting on your phone is kind of pointless anyway. You're just wasting your time on social media or whatever, so you might as well waste your time reading a book. It's basically the same thing. So that's what I do, and I get that extra 15 minutes, and sometimes if it's a short book or I'm doing a reread, I can get like 10 to 15 pages done. If it's like a longer book, I can finish maybe one chapter or a couple pages, but just making that progress, like I said earlier, helps overall. So that's something that you could consider. I would also read before bed. So if you are deliberately wanting to read more books to try to get your book count higher, I would say make that note in your head that you are going to read before you go to bed. It can be a chapter, it can be 100 pages, it can be whatever. Just if you go to bed like 30 minutes early, an hour early, you're just laying there doing nothing, you're just on your phone wasting your time. You know, if you're just scrolling and scrolling on TikTok or something, like, you could use that time as a reading time. So every night you could try to read before bed, like every night for a week or something, and get into that habit of doing that, and I think that would help a lot. Another thing would be to read in the morning. Lately I have started going back to the gym. By lately I mean yesterday and today. Finally, I took like a month break, like it's been a month, so I finally went back, and I want to try to do this for myself, is to read in the morning, because I get up at 5:30, go work out. I don't have to leave to work till 8:30. So within that time frame, I have a lot of time to read. That's like 3 hours. I work out for an hour. My getting dressed takes like 30 to 45 minutes. There's like an hour in there somewhere. So I can use that time to read. I can read while I eat breakfast, stuff like that. So if you ever have any downtime in the morning, you could try to do that too, or just try getting up earlier than you usually do to get stuff done, or just to get reading done. I would also say to read on your commute to work or read at the gym. So if you do commute to work like on a train or bus or something, that's really helpful because you're not driving and you can actually physically read the book. And I'm sure a lot of people do this. Where I live, we don't really have a public transportation system. Like, I mean, we do, but like not a lot of people use it. It's more just everybody has cars in Texas. I know, I'm only saying this because I know like a lot of my friends that are from the UK and stuff don't drive by car. They drive other ways. Well, they don't drive at all. So yeah, you get what I'm saying. Or this leads me into my fifth and final tip. These kind of go together a lot. So number 5 would be to start reading audiobooks. If you read audiobooks, you can literally read anywhere. So if you're driving, you can play your audiobook in the car while you're going to work, or while you're on your way home from work. I have a 30-minute drive to work, so that's literally an hour every day of more reading time that I can do. And when you're reading an audiobook, you can adjust the speed, they can read faster to you, and you can just absorb it while you're driving and get another book done faster. Audiobooks are something that, like, last year, I doubt I even read one audiobook, like maybe a couple. I don't know. I know the year before that I read none. Last year is the first year I actually tried audiobooks out and tried to get into them. I used to honestly think that it wouldn't be the same as reading a book, that it like wasn't the same at all, and I don't know why I thought that. But then when I finally started reading audiobooks, I realized that it is literally the exact same thing, and it's such a helpful thing because you can find some audiobooks for free. You can do free trials. I know a lot of people are sometimes sponsored, and then in their links to their booktube videos they have stuff to get like a free month trial on Scribd or Audible and stuff like that. So there's definitely ways that you can try to do that and get some audiobooks for free. There's also sometimes some on YouTube. Don't tell YouTube I said that, but sometimes you can find them for free if you just look them up, you know. I'm just saying what I know. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just saying it's a fact. You can do that. But yeah, I've even started listening to audiobooks while I'm at the gym, while I'm working out for that hour. So it's definitely giving me a lot more time. That's like that's like 2 hours for me to read. 1 hour at the gym, 1 hour when I'm at home in the morning before I get dressed, and then 30 minutes on my way to work. That's potentially 2.5 hours extra time of reading. And so maybe that's the same for you and you can put that into your schedule somewhere. But audiobooks will just definitely help, and I feel like this is something everyone knows and I'm the last one to it, but I feel like I just needed to say it because if I just realized it, there's probably a lot of people who have also just realized it or haven't tried audiobooks. So definitely do that. And also, if you have a job that you can listen to music at, listen to your audiobook. Or if you I know some places are still where you have to work from home, you could listen to an audiobook if you're just like doing data entry or something like an easy job where you don't have to listen to something or focus that much. Something that you can just idly do and still pay attention and listen to your audiobook. Like me at work, I know my boss used to let me listen to music, which I would listen to audiobooks while I shelved books. Now she doesn't let me do that anymore, and I don't know why, but I can't. But that would be something I could do too. It's just, if you can, put your AirPods in and listen to your books while you're working and you're getting paid and you're reading a book. It's like you're getting paid to read a book, and that honestly would just make me so happy. So that's like the dream. So that's all the tips that I have. These are things that I have just noticed that I have started doing that have helped me read more books in a shorter amount of time. I hope that you can find at least one of these that you can implement into your life and that will actually help you. If you've known all these before, I'm sorry. I just found these out and just figured them out and added them to my life. So I'm happy for you if you already did these things. But if there's anything else, like any other tips that you have, please let me know, because I am always looking for these for myself. But yeah, that's all the advice I have. That's pretty much all I have to say. I will have my social media linked down below if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. I also have a couple ways down below that you can help support the channel. I have my Amazon wishlist if you want to send me your favorite book or something so that I can read it. I have my Ko-fi if you want to buy me a coffee or send me a little bit of money. That will all go back into my channel. I also have my Depop linked, so if you want to shop any of my books that I am selling, you can check on there. But that is pretty much all I have to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Forget about all types of things.